Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A source of difficulty. What's the problem? A state of difficulty that needs to be resolved. She and her husband are having problems. A question raised for consideration or solution. Our homework consisted of 10 problems to solve. A source of difficulty. One trouble after another delayed the job. Cause bodily suffering to and make sick or indisposed. Disturb in mind or make uneasy or cause to be worried or alarmed. Move deeply. Take the trouble to do something. Concern oneself. He did not trouble to call his mother on her birthday. To cause inconvenience or discomfort to. Sorry to trouble you, but. An effort that is inconvenient. I went to a lot of trouble. A strong feeling of anxiety. He wanted to die and end his troubles. An angry disturbance. They had labor trouble. An event causing distress or pain. What is the trouble? An unwanted pregnancy. He got several girls in trouble. A specific piece of work required to be done as a duty or for a specific fee. Estimates of the city's loss on that job ranged as high as $1 million. A crime, especially a robbery. The gang pulled off a bank job in St. Louis. Invest at a risk. The principal activity in your life that you do to earn money. Arranged for contracted work to be done by others. A state of difficulty that needs to be resolved. It is always a job to contact him. A book in the Old Testament containing Job's pleas to God about his afflictions and God's reply. A damaging piece of work. Dry rot did the job of destroying the barn. A Jewish hero in the Old Testament who maintained his faith in God in spite of afflictions that tested him. An object worked on, a result produced by working. He held the job in his left hand and worked on it with his right. Any long-suffering person who withstands affliction without despairing. A workplace, as in the expression, on the job. Computer science, a program application that may consist of several steps but is a single logical unit. Profit privately from public office and official business. The performance of a piece of work. She did an outstanding job as Ophelia. The responsibility to do something. It is their job to print the truth. Work occasionally. As a student, I jobbed during the semester breaks. The quality of being difficult. They agreed about the difficulty of the climb. An effort that is inconvenient. Had difficulty walking. A condition or state of affairs almost beyond one's ability to deal with and requiring great effort to bear or overcome. A factor causing trouble in achieving a positive result or tending to produce a negative result. Uncertainty about the truth or factuality or existence of something. There is no question about the validity of the enterprise. A sentence of inquiry that asks for a reply. He asked a direct question. Challenge the accuracy, probity, or propriety of. We must question your judgment in this matter. Pose a series of questions to. The suspect was questioned by the police. A formal proposal for action made to a deliberative assembly for discussion and vote. She called for the question. Conduct an interview in television, newspaper, and radio reporting. The subject matter at issue. The question of disease merits serious discussion. An instance of questioning. There was a question about my training. Place in doubt or express doubtful speculation. Pose a question. An informal reference to a marriage proposal. He was ready to pop the question. Computer science. A tiny electromagnetic coil and metal pole used to write and read magnetic patterns on a disk. Be in charge of. Who is heading this project? A person who is in charge. The head of the whole operation. That which is responsible for one's thoughts, feelings, and conscious brain functions. The seat of the faculty of reason. I couldn't get his words out of my head. Be the first or leading member of a group and excel. This student heads the class. The educator who has executive authority for a school. The upper part of the human body or the front part of the body in animals contains the face and brains. He stuck his head out the window. Travel in front of. Go in advance of others. The procession was headed by John. The part in the front or nearest the viewer. He was at the head of the column. A line of text serving to indicate what the passage below it is about. The heading seemed to have little to do with the text. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. A difficult juncture. Matters came to a head yesterday. Forward movement. The ship made little headway against the gale. Oral stimulation of the genitals. They say he gives good head. A dense cluster of flowers or foliage. A head of cauliflower. The subject matter at issue. Under the head of minor Roman poets. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. The source of water from which a stream arises. They tracked him back toward the head of the stream. A natural elevation, especially a rocky one that jets out into the sea. Grammar. The word in a grammatical constituent that plays the same grammatical role as the whole constituent. A membrane that is stretched taut over a drum. An individual person. Tickets are $5 per head. A projection out from one end. The head of the nail. A rounded compact mass. The head of a comet. A single domestic animal. 200 head of cattle. A user of, usually soft, drugs. The office was full of secret heads. Be in the front of or on top of. The list was headed by the name of the president. Form a head or come or grow to a head. The wheat headed early this year. Nautical. A toilet on board a boat or ship. Remove the head of. Head the fish. Take its rise. These rivers head from a mountain range in the Himalayas. That part of a skeletal muscle that is away from the bone that it moves. The foam or froth that accumulates at the top when you pour an effervescent liquid into a container. The beer had a large head of foam. The front of a military formation or procession. The head of the column advanced boldly. The length or height based on the size of a human or animal head. He is 2 heads taller than his little sister. The pressure exerted by a fluid. A head of steam. The rounded end of a bone that fits into a rounded cavity in another bone to form a joint. The head of the humerus. The striking part of a tool. The head of the hammer. The tip of an abscess, where the pus accumulates. The top of something. The head of the stairs. To go or travel towards. Where is she heading? Usually plural, the obverse side of a coin that usually bears the representation of a person's head. Call heads or tails. A vaguely specified concern. Several matters to attend to. Have weight. Have import, carry weight. It does not matter much. Some situation or event that is thought about. It is a matter for the police. A problem. Is anything the matter? That which has mass and occupies space. Physicists study both the nature of matter and the forces which govern it. Used with negation, having consequence. They were friends and it was no matter who won the games. Written works, especially in books or magazines. He always took some reading matter with him on the plane. A source of unpredictable trouble and complexity. Serious trouble. Emotional distress arising during adolescence. Pain in muscles or joints sometimes experienced by children and often attributed to rapid growth. Problems that arise in enlarging an enterprise, especially in the early stages. A long faint constellation in the southern hemisphere near the equator stretching between Virgo and Cancer. Greek mythology, monster with 9 heads. When struck off, each head was replaced by 2 new ones. Small tubular solitary freshwater hydrozoan polyp. Trouble that cannot be overcome by a single effort because of its many aspects or its persistent and pervasive quality. We may be facing a hydra that defies any easy solution. An area on the skin that is highly sensitive to pressure. You must know the pressure points in order to administer shiatsu. Any of several points on the body where the pulse can be felt and where pressure on an underlying artery will control bleeding from that artery at a more distal point. Where problems or difficulties are likely to occur. A key pressure point in the controversy was the building permit. A social and political problem caused by conflict between races occupying the same or adjacent regions. An economic problem caused by payments for imports being greater than receipts for exports. A puzzle where you decode a message consisting of pictures representing syllables and words. A difficult problem. Spread or diffuse through. His campaign was riddled with accusations and personal attacks. Separate with a riddle, as grain from chaff. A coarse sieve, as for gravel. Explain a riddle. Pierce with many holes. The bullets riddled his body. Set a difficult problem or riddle. Riddle me a riddle. Speak in riddles. A small sharp pointed tip resembling a spike on a stem or leaf. A short knife with a pointed blade used for piercing or stabbing. An adhesive label. A particularly difficult or baffling question or problem. An aggressive and violent young criminal. A particularly difficult or baffling question or problem. A difficult problem. Something that baffles understanding and cannot be explained. An intricate knot tied by Gordius, the king of Phrygia, and cut by the sword of Alexander the Great after he heard that whoever undid it would become ruler of Asia. Any very difficult problem, insoluble in its own terms. A specific size and style of type within a type family. An enveloping structure or covering enclosing an animal or plant organ or part. The enclosing frame around a door or window opening. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. A mental case. Printing. The receptacle in which a compositor has his type, which is divided into compartments for the different letters, spaces, or numbers. For English, a compositor will ordinarily have two such cases, the uppercase containing the capitals and the lowercase containing the small letters. The quantity contained in a case. The housing or outer covering of something. The clock has a walnut case. Bed linen consisting of a cover for a pillow. The burglar carried his loot in a pillowcase. A special set of circumstances. It may rain, in which case the picnic will be cancelled. An occurrence of something. It was a case of bad judgment. Enclose in, or as if in, a case. My feet were encased in mud. Nouns or pronouns or adjectives, often marked by inflection, related in some way to other words in a sentence. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. A person who is subjected to experimental or other observational procedures. Someone who is an object of investigation. The cases that we studied were drawn from two different communities. A glass container used to store and display items in a shop or museum or home. A person requiring professional services. A typical case was the suburban housewife described by a marriage counselor. A portable container for carrying several objects. The musicians left their instrument cases backstage. A problem requiring investigation. Perry Mason solved the case of the missing heir. A specific state of mind that is temporary. A case of the jitters. A statement of facts and reasons used to support an argument. He stated his case clearly. Look over, usually with the intention to rob. They men cased the house. The actual state of things. That was not the case. Be a mystery or bewildering to. A particularly baffling problem that is said to have a correct solution. He loved to solve chessmate puzzles. A game that tests your ingenuity. Be uncertain about. Think about without fully understanding or being able to decide. We puzzled over her sudden departure. A particularly difficult or baffling question or problem. A particularly baffling problem that is said to have a correct solution. That's a real puzzler. A problem that students are assigned to do outside of class. A difficult problem. A paradoxical anecdote or a riddle that has no solution, used in Zen Buddhism to show the inadequacy of logical reasoning. Someone given to teasing, as by mocking or stirring curiosity. A flat at each side of the stage to prevent the audience from seeing into the wings. A particularly baffling problem that is said to have a correct solution. A device for teasing wool. A teaser is used to disentangle the fibers. An advertisement that offers something free in order to arouse customers' interest. An attention-getting opening presented at the start of a television show. A worker who teases wool. A particularly baffling problem that is said to have a correct solution. A problem that severely tests the ability of an inexperienced person. A person who poses for a photographer or painter or sculptor. A person who habitually pretends to be something he is not. A particularly difficult or baffling question or problem.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.